Shri Gurubhyo Namaः. Hari Om. Om Sahanavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryaṃ Karavāvahai Tejasvinavdhītamastu mā vidvishāvahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So yesterday we saw, for the people who don't have the clear intellect, clarity, for them, the matured intellect, for them, these different kinds of forms are set. Okay, in reality he does not have. But then how can bhairava converse with bhairavī if it is of the nature of, if the bhairava is of the nature of nishkala, attributeless, formless? Then where is the conversation possible? We already established that, but you didn't establish what is this nishkala, what is this attributeless state. So for that he is explaining the next 2.5 shlokas. dikkālakalanonmuktā deśoddeśāviśeṣiṇī vyapadeṣṭumaśakyāsāvakathyā paramārthataḥ antaḥ svānubhavānandā vikalponmuktagocarā yāvasthā bharitākārā bhairavī bhairavātmanaḥ tadvapustattvato jñeyaṃ vimalaṃ viśvapūraṇam. Very good. dikkālakalanonmuktā deśoddeśāviśeṣiṇī vyapadeṣṭumaśakyāsāvakathyā paramārthataḥ antaḥ svānubhavānandā vikalponmuktagocarā yāvasthā bharitākārā bhairavī bhairavātmanaḥ tadvapustattvato jñeyaṃ vimalaṃ viśvapūraṇam. Okay. So in commentary he is starting from the second shloka, first line, but we are not going to do that. We are going to understand first the meaning of the shlokas, and then we'll go into the word meaning. Okay, as it is. dikkālakalanonmuktā. Dik means direction. Direction means direction. Kala means time. Time. Okay. Kalana means a defect. Object is defect. Okay. So it can be the defects of time and space, or it can be the defect of time, space, and causation. Unmukta means relieved. One who is devoid of the defect of time, space, and causation, or one who is devoid of the time, space, and causation, the limits of time, space, and objects. diśoddeśāviśeṣiṇī. Desha, space. Uddesha means reference. Aviṣeṣiṇī, reference point. Desha, reference object. Uddesha, aviṣeṣiṇī, indifferent. One which is not adjectified by this, the reference points and the reference objects. Okay. vyapadeṣṭumaśakyā. It cannot be explicitly said. Asau, this she, akathya cannot be explained. vyapadeṣṭumaśakyā cannot be explicitly said. Akathya cannot be explained. There is no difference in reality, but there is a difference. We'll understand the difference later. Paramārthataḥ, in reality, that is what is the truth. antaḥ svānubhavānandā. antaḥ svānubhava svānanda. Inside she is of the nature of experience and bliss. vikalponmuktagocarā, devoid of any kind of vikalpas. Vikalpas means choices. Devoid of any kind of choices, devoid of any kind of options, devoid of any kind of variables. Yāvasthā bharitākārā, that which state, which is the one which is holding all the creation. Bhairavī is bhairavī, which is of the nature of bhairavātmanaḥ, which is of the nature of bhairava. Bhairavaswarupa is bhairavātmanaḥ. Bhairavī is of the nature of bhairava. So we cannot say I am going to merge the bhairavī with bhairava. You cannot merge the bhairavī with bhairava because bhairavī and bhairava were never different from each other. Bhairavī is bhairava, bhairava is bhairavī. Okay, so tadvapustattvato jñeyaṃ. That nature, vapu means body, here nature. That nature you have to understand in reality, tattvatah. Vimalaṃ viśvapūraṇam, which is completely pure and which is the one which fills the creation. We'll understand like that. Now each word. Dikkālakalanonmuktā. Dik means directions. Directions means east, west, north, south, in between, all that. Okay, so these directions, unmukta, devoid of these difference of directions. Kala means time. Time means past, present and future, devoid of any kind of these transactions. Kalana, defect. What is defect? Association with object which limits you. So that is the defect. Association is defect. So there is no association of anything. Only if there is association, if something exists other than that, existence and association is the problem. Existence of something else and association with that something else is the problem. So that does not exist. Okay, diśoddeśāviśeṣiṇī. It does not have any speciality. Vishesho yasya na vidyate, or vishesho yasyaha na vidyate. Vishesha, the specificity, the speciality does not exist for which. That is what is aviśeṣiṇī, non-adjectified. Now, what kind of a desha and uddesha? What are the adjectives you are talking about? It is not adjectified with desha and uddesha. The disha and desha. Dik is disha, direction. This is desha, space. The difference is front row. No, back. So when you say, I'm not talking to anyone, I'm saying, you say before, after. Okay, before, after, front, back. All these are reference points, right? So before that, one which is behind that which is before. All these permutation combinations are possible. So desha, uddesha means that one, this one, before that, before the first row, that one, before this, late, after the second row, this one. So this, that, etc. are uddesha, the referent object. These are reference points and this is reference object. Okay, so that which is not adjectified by reference objects or reference point, vyapadeṣṭumaśakyāsāvakathyā, cannot be explicitly said. Akathya cannot be said. That is the difference. There is no difference. But the difference is, we saw every word in the japa, we saw 4 stages of a word. Parā, paṣyanti, madhyama, vaikharī. Parā, the non-dual form, there can be no transaction there. Forget about that. The seed form, there, paṣyanti is the seed form, there also there cannot be any transaction. Madhyama, the subtle form, there can be transaction inside. And vaikharī, the gross form, there can be transaction outside. So when I say vyapadeṣṭumaśakyā, then we are referring to the madhyama state, the subtle transaction. And akathya means the gross transaction. So there is no subtle transaction or gross transaction of words, paramārtha, in reality. This is the truth. There is no divisions of any kind. That is the truth. So with this first shloka, he is talking about the bhairava not being an object of a word. Then in the second shloka, 15th shloka, he is saying that the bhairava is not the object of mind. Because there are some things which are object of mind, not object of word. There are some things which are object of word, not object of mind. Like there is I say sweet. I say sweet. Sweet is object of word. But can you understand sweet? It is not an object of mind. Okay. So pain. I have pain. No, it is object of mind, not object of word. What I say cannot be comprehended by you. What I experience cannot be you expressed through my words. So there are different states like this. It can be object of word but not of mind. It can be object of mind but of not word. So here he says this bhairava is not object of word in the first. Manovācāmagocaram, same idea. So here he is now expressing that it is not object of mind. How? Antaḥ svānubhavānandā. Antaḥ can be swa antaḥ, swa anubhava, swa ananda. Swa can be associated with everything. Swanta means a purna ahanta, the absolute I. The absolute I in the sense there is no duality of you or that, this, etc. So, swa anubhava, it is self-effulgent. That which is self-experienced is self-effulgent. There is nothing which you need for experiencing this. Swa anubhava, it is of the nature of experience. Swa ananda, it is of the nature of bliss. Bhairava is of the nature of experience. Bhairava is of the nature of bliss. Existence, knowledge, bliss. Swantaḥ, existence, svānubhava, knowledge, and svananda, bliss. Okay. Now, vikalponmuktagocarā. Vikalpa means dualities, choices, options. Unmukta, devoid of. Gocarā, understood. That which is understood, devoid of attributes, options, choices, means nirvikalpa. Nirvikalpa. Vikalpa unmuktagocarā. Now, vikalpa can be also understood as what is the yogis in Yoga Sutra. There is a sutra which says very clearly what is vikalpa. Shabda jnananupati vastu shunya vikalpa. Shabda jnananupati, that which is expressed through words, vastu shunya, but does not have an object. That is vikalpa. I say barren woman's son. You understand it. There is a transaction of words, but is there an object, barren woman's son? No. So, similarly, something can be transacted with a word, but does not really have an object. That is not the case of bhairavī. I say bhairavī, that does not mean bhairavī, the name is there, but there is no object called bhairavī. No. Bhairava is bhairavī. Therefore, there is no confusion here. That is the nirvikalpa swarupa. Okay? Yāvasthā, bharitākārā, that state which is yāvasthā, that state which is bharitākārā. Bharitākārā means that which holds all the forms in the creation, or that which holds the I. Because only when there is I, the you, and that, this, etc. exists, I said. So, that which holds the I. Bhairavī is bhairavī. And who is that bhairavī? Bhairavātmanaḥ, of the bhairava. The nature of bhairava, the inherent nature of bhairava. So bhairavī is not different from bhairava. Bhairava is of the nature of bhairavī. Bhairavī is of the nature of bhairava. Okay? Tadvapustattvato jñeyaṃ. That swarupa, that inherent nature should be understood in reality, in truth, whatever it is, as it is. Vimalaṃ viśvapūraṇam. Vimalaṃ means it is that which is not, vimalaṃ means pure, which is not engulfed by or wielded by the form of creation. That is not associated with the creation. Association is impurity. So, mala. So, as that which is associationless. Viśvapūraṇam, associationless. Okay, vimalaṃ, pure. Viśvapūraṇam means that which engulfs the creation. Now you said you don't have association. How can they? So, viśvapūraṇa should not be understood as that which engulfs everything. No, that which illumines everything. But is there no difference? No. See, the sun illumines everything, but it is not associated with everything. Whether you sleep or you wake up and do things, the sun is not bothered about it. Similarly, the bhairava just shines, illuminates the objects, things. That's all. He is not associated with anything. Vimalaṃ. Okay? Now, okay, fine. Now, if this is the form, then you said dhyanātham bhrantabuddhīnām priyādambaravaṛtinām. The form, the sakala form is for people who are involved in the actions, karmas. Now, that is explained here. evaṃvidhe pare tattve pūjyaḥ kaśca tṛpyati. We already said that sakala form is only for the puja and the dhyana. In reality, there is no possibility of any of that because there is only bhairava. There is no bhairavī bhairava duality or the creation bhairava duality. So he says, evaṃvidhe pare tattve, when the truth is, the absolute truth is in this form, in this nature. Vidha is nature, form. Pūjyaḥ kaśca tṛpyati. Who is the one who should be worshipped and who is the one who becomes satisfied? No. Evaṃvidhe pare tattve. In this form of the truth, kaha pūjyaḥ, for worshipping something, you need to have a worshipper, a means of worship. That is why we said, kriyādambaravaṛtinīm, I have the eligibility to worship this deity in this form to gain this result. I have the eligibility to worship this deity in this form, in this methodology, in this method to gain this result. So, the worshipper, pūjaka, the mode of worship, pūjā, and the object of worship, pūjyaḥ, does not exist. This trinity does not exist. tṛpyati, who is there to be satisfied? By worshipper, I cannot satisfy the bhairava. He is not different from me. And the bhairava cannot satisfy me because I am not different from him. Bhairava cannot satisfy me by blessing the result, by giving me the result, because I am not different from bhairava. This is what is you, that this is what one should understand as the reality, not of the 8 different forms. That 8 different forms are not invalid. They are not completely invalid. They have a validity for people who are deciding the objects and results, for the ignorant. Okay? Now, evaṃvidhā parā bhairavasya yāvasthā parigīyate. Sa parā pararūpeṇa parādevī prakīrtitā. Evaṃvidhā bhairavasya yāvasthā parigīyate. Sa parā pararūpeṇa parādevī prakīrtitā. Evaṃvidhā parā bhairavasya. In this form of bhairava, yāvasthā parigīyate, the nature which is said, that is in the absolute form, the parādevī itself. That is in the absolute form, the parādevī. Whatever form of bhairava is said is the absolute form of the bhairavī also. That is what is the meaning of the shloka. Okay, now, evaṃvidhā, in this form, bhairavasya, of bhairava, yāvasthā, the states, different states, whatever states we have explained. The time, space, causation, etc., all states, which is of the bhairava himself. In the form of creation, etc., whatever that is of the bhairava itself, because bhairava has different states of creation, sustenance, etc. So all those states is of bhairavī also. Sa parā pararūpeṇa, that is absolute. In that absolute form is of the nature of bhairavī also. Parādevī means parā bhairavī. Prakīrtitā. Parigīyate means parigīyate means completely said. Paritah gīyate parigīyate, completely explained. Or parichhedartham gīyate, for the sake of limitations, for the sake of explanation, whatever is said, that in the sense of duality, whatever is said, all that with reference to the creation, etc. So that state of para bhairavī, para bhattaraka is bhattarika, para bhattarika. The state of para bhattaraka is of the state of para bhattarika. Para bhattaraka, para bhairava. Para bhattarika, para bhairavī. So the nature of para bhairava is the nature of para bhairavī. The nature of bhairava is the nature of bhairavī. That is what is said here. How can it does not really mean that a bhairava or bhairavī exists only in the sense of name. There is an object. Bhairava is bhairavī, bhairavī is bhairava. So there is no difference. How can there be no difference? You said bhairavī and bhairava. Then how can there be no difference? How can there be identity? So for this, he's explaining, because only, see, a coin, one side is head and the other side is tail. So with reference point, be front and back, you say head and tail. Similarly, if there is a reference point for bhairava and bhairavī, you can say this side is bhairava and that side is bhairavī. But in fact, you have negated the reference point also. Deśoddeśā. So the reference points also are refuted. So he says, you have to understand there is no duality. That is the idea. śaktiśaktimatoryadvat abhedaḥ sarvadā sthitaḥ atastadharmadharmitvat parāshaktiḥ parātmanaḥ. śaktiśaktimatoh yadvat abhedaḥ sarvadā sthitaḥ atah tadharmadharmitvat parāshaktiḥ parātmanaḥ. śaktiśaktimatoryadvat, with the power and the wielder of power, as it is accepted, abhedaḥ sarvadā, as it is always established, it is established everywhere, the identity of the power and the wielder of power. Atah, therefore, tadharmadharmitvat, this is of the nature of that dharmi. Therefore, parāshaktiḥ parātmanaḥ, the absolute nature of a bhairava is a parashakti itself. Now, śaktiśaktimator abhedaḥ. Shakti means power. Power means capability. Samarthya means the capacity, the capability to create, sustain, merge, weal and bless. Srishti, sthiti, samhara, tirodhana and anugraha. All these five, the capacity to all these five activities, which is a Shakti, which is Devi, Bhairavī. That Bhairavī, Shakti Mataha, one who is wielder of that. Who is the wielder of that kind of Shakti? A person, one who has the knowledge, the desire and the action. Who is a Sarvajñā, omniscient, Sarvakartritva, omnipotent and sarvantaryami. He is a one who exists in everyone, meaning knowledge, activity and the desire. Jnana Shakti, Ichcha Shakti and Kriya Shakti. So that dharma, with these kind of dharmas, these attributes, these characters of being omniscient, etc. Dharmini, in the one who has the dharmas, Dharmini, Parashakti. Parashakti means the one which is of the nature of existence, knowledge, bliss. Chidananda Ghana, one who is of the nature of consciousness. That is the self. That is the Bhairava. The Shakti Parātmanaḥ, Parāshakti Parātmanaḥ. That is the absolute power of the absolute Bhairava. Parātmanaḥ, absolute self is Bhairava here. Okay. So Shakti Bhairavī. That is the absolute Bhairavī of absolute Bhairava. That is the nature of absolute Bhairavī, which is of the nature of absolute Bhairava. Simple. So The senses are not giving any chance for duality. So Parashakti, the supreme power, is of the Bhairava. That is the supreme power of Bhairava. That is the general meaning. But Parashakti means the supreme power, which is bhairavī, parātmanaḥ, the supreme self, which is a Bhairava. The supreme, the bhairavī is of the nature of Bhairava. That is what is said. Because the wielder of power and the power, wielder of power Bhairava and the power bhairavī is not different. That is what is accepted everywhere. How? Where is it accepted? How can the power and wielder of power not be different? That is explained with two examples later. We will see this. Om Purnamadaḥ Purnamidam Purnāt Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevāvaśiṣyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.